Thanks for checking in to the State of Basketball Podcast, Episode 9. I'm Adam Miller, and I'm here with Jaron Wilt each and every week. We're going to be bringing you the news and notes on all 11 Division I basketball schools in the state of Indiana, because in 49 states,
it's just basketball.
Holiday week, Jaron. How was your holiday?
It was good. It wasn't relaxing, but I feel like holidays when you're an adult aren't really that relaxing, just because there's so much running around that gets done. But it was good.
Yeah, good. You're not getting, a Game Boy and Game Boy games that you can just
exactly.
bury yourself into.
Exactly. You have responsibilities.
Yeah. Luckily, my Christmas this year, I had 2 places to go, but they were on different days. So that was like prime.
Nice.
Splitting time,
in
my
a single
family.
day.
Yeah, it's when you can just leave when you want to or when everything ends is so much better than having to be like, all right, we did our 2 hours here. We got to go somewhere else for 2 hours.
Yeah.
It was nice, but a good Christmas. And, we're recording this a day early. We normally record on Sundays, drop on Mondays. So right off the bat, there are going to be games that we don't cover, just 3.
Yep,
but
just 3.
The New Year's Eve games, if something crazy happened and we don't cover it, we're sorry. We aren't recording on New Year's Eve. I apologize. So something crazy happened. I don't know. We'll tweet about it.
Yeah. Check our social media channels. We'll definitely have something out there if things go crazy.
Well, some shakeups in the power rankings this week a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. A couple teams jumped around. Get into it. So our week 8 power rankings, we've got Purdue number 1, Indiana State number 2. Indiana is at the 3 spot. Butler at the 4 spot. PFW, Purdue Fort Wayne, number 5.
The good win. Good conference win.
Yep. Good.
Maybe 2.
Yeah, they're one of the games that play on New Year's Eve. And then we've got Notre Dame making a jump up 2 spots from 8 to 6, where they currently are.
With a huge win. Just dismantled Virginia.
Absolutely. Then Evansville dropped from 6 down to 7, where they currently are. Ball State followed suit, dropping from 7 to 8. IUPUI climbing the rankings. They are now at the 9 spot.
Short-handed, too.
Yeah. And then, consequently, Valpo dropped from 9 to 10. And then, rounding out the bottom, Southern Indiana at 11.
Just so close to moving up, Southern Indiana.
Oh, yeah. They had it right in their grasps, and then it just kind of trickled away. But going through our 11 schools, right off the bat, I will mention Ball State did not play this week. As a reminder, they're sitting at 8-4 overall. They have not played a conference game. I think our only team that has not played a conference game, but they're going to start the new year strong with Kent State. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But Butler.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's just a tough way to start conference play.
Yeah.
They're not playing.
They'll have not played in a week and a half almost. Yeah.
Which is, I don't know.
It's either good or bad. It's really like...
It could go either way.
Yeah.
Depends on the team or the program. That might just be too much time off. We'll
see. In a week, we'll probably be talking about having the same conversation depending on the outcome. So,
yeah, for sure.
Moving on to Butler, they also did not play. Took the holiday seriously and got some relaxation. No high-intensity games. They are 10-3 overall with a 1-1 conference record.
You need some time off if you're playing in the Big East, so
yeah,
enjoy that week. Both of these teams moved up in KenPom. So
we established it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I don't remember who didn't play.
Southern Indiana
didn't play, and they moved
up a couple spots.
So if you want to move up in KenPom, just have a bye week, basically. Just let other people around you lose, and you're good. You're golden to move up. Butler moved up 5 spots, 60th from 65, and they didn't play a game.
Good for them.
That's just how much Ken Pomeroy respects Thad Matta.
Absolutely. Well, Evansville, do you want to talk about that?
Yes. So Evansville only dropped 1 spot. They dropped from 160th to 159th in KenPom and went 0-1 this week. So they lost their only game. It was a loss to Cincinnati at Cincinnati, 76-58. And That brings them to 10-2 overall and 1-1 in conference because they're in the Missouri Valley, who played some conference games earlier already. This is their last non-conference game? Yes.
Yes. Yep. Every team from this point forward will be playing conference games.
This is a tough one right off the bat because Ben Hummerkaus and Chuck Bailey III were out. Bailey was sick, but Hummerkaus is day-to-day with, I think, a leg injury.
All that work
tough.
he's been putting in.
Yeah.
Just wearing down on the knees. I don't know if that was a knee injury, but metaphorically speaking.
Yeah. That sucks. I mean, this was a game that we were circling like Evansville can pull off this win.
And they were in it for a while, though.
Yeah, they were up 8 at half and like had a chance going into the second half. And then Cincinnati just came to play and they just, I don't know, kind of worked them in the second half. They just kind of worked them in the second half and stunk, but they were also without two pieces. Cincinnati was.
Right.
So it almost like balanced out. But I would have liked to have seen what would have happened if both teams were at full strength. It might have been a similar result.
I mean, who's to say?
I mean, when you got Hummerkaus, when you're missing his scoring ability, just to score at will, that's tough to overcome.
And I mean, filling into the starting spot for Hummerkaus was Joshua Hughes, and he had a tough time trying to fill the void that Hummerkaus left. I mean, he played about on par with what he had been playing off the bench. He had 7 points. He was 3 for 7 from the field, 0 for 1 from 3, and he was 1 for 3 from the line. He had 7 boards, 4 assists, which again are consistent with his production off the bench.
Right.
But when you're trying to fill that void for Hummerkaus, and I mean, it's tough, especially because I think Joshua Hughes played 35 minutes and he averages about 16 and a half coming off the bench. So big jump in minutes played. So you'd hope that the productivity kind of followed suit, and it didn't, unfortunately. And it's hard when that happens.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the second half where they got down pretty big, you normally look to a guy like Ben Hummerkaus or a guy like Chuck Bailey III to give you that spark off the bench.
Yep.
And to come in and get some scoring, and they just didn't have the two pieces that they needed probably most.
Yeah. And it didn't help. I mean, just following suit is Antonio Thomas and Cam Hafner. They both kind of shot below their season averages in terms of scoring. So I think Cam Hafner, averages about 4.5 points a game. He had 2. Antonio Thomas averages, I think, 8. Also had 2. So again, just they were missing those 2 big pieces in Chuck Bailey and Hummerkaus, and it's unfortunate to kind of the outcome of the game.
But Yassine Toomey led the team in scoring. He had played 38 minutes and he had 17 points there. Kenny Strawbridge had 14. Tanner Cuff had 13. And if you want to look at a statistic where, if you're just looking at the box score and say, okay, where did they lose the game? Evansville didn't shoot very well from 3, probably partly because they were missing Hummerkaus.
And Bailey, really.
Yeah, so they shot 3 for 12 from 3, and Cincinnati was 12 for 29. So they made 9 more threes. I mean, that's more than the game right there.
Yeah.
So it's hard to win when you can't hit those shots, and Cincinnati is shooting, pretty decently from 3. But hopefully they can bounce back. It's now you've got 2 teams coming at each other who just had losses in Evansville when they play Indiana State in the next game, and you've got Indiana State coming off a loss.
Yep.
So that next game will be in.
Yeah. And hopefully Hummerkaus is back for that, because I think he's a huge piece that needs to be there. I mean, and same with Chuck Bailey. He also, I feel like it's easier to say Chuck Bailey might be back sooner just because it's being sick and you don't know really how severe the sickness is. Whereas an injury it can really
and
make a difference.
I think it's scarier to play Indiana State without those 2 than it is to play Cincinnati without those 2.
Yeah.
It's a conference game, it means more, but we can talk about that game later. Let's talk about Indiana. So they went down in KenPom. They went 80. They're 87th now. They were at 82 last week, but they did have a win over Kennesaw State. They won by 13. Hit 100. Yeah, they covered. They and the line actually moved down to like 9.5 when Khalil Ware was announced to be out.
I mean,
So
it was 12.5 a couple days before the game, or even
that's what I think
the
line
morning of the game.
Yeah, when the line opened. So they went 1-0 this week. They're 10-3 overall, and they're still the only 2-0 team in conference in the Big Ten. So 3 losses, but ahead of everyone else in the Big Ten. So if you're Indiana, you say, stop the count.
Yep.
This is it. Tournament
And
starts today.
Indiana did not have a Rothstein tweet
It's true.
the entire.
No epitome of brutality.
Yeah, there's nothing negative said about Indiana from Rothstein. So that's also just stop the clock.
Yeah.
Type stuff.
Stop it right there. But hit 100 points. Was this the first time in 3 years? 2 or 3 years?
No, they hit 100 last season, but it was like their second or third game of the season. It might have been like November 2nd or November 7th, something like that last season. But it was against a much worse opponent than Kennesaw. And obviously, we've talked about it before, Indiana lost a lot of scoring from last season to this season. So them hitting 100 and still not playing with their starting center, nothing to scoff about.
Yeah, part of that is Malik Renew, but I think having a game that's 187 is absolutely not what Indiana wants to do. They want to beat you 75-62.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They probably should have won the game by more. If Ware's healthy, they probably should have won by more.
Yep.
But I don't know. I mean, Malik Renew picked that up. I would have liked to have seen better defense.
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to talk about was just their defense. It was kind of lackluster at times. It looked like the Indiana of a month ago.
Yeah.
Where instead of the Indiana of 3 weeks ago, or the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, like the one that played Kansas down to the wire.
Right, exactly. The one that locked down. I'm forgetting who they played last week when they went on
North Alabama.
North Alabama. No.
Oh, their comeback win.
Yeah.
That was Morehead State.
Morehead State. Yeah, yeah. I just for some reason it was just escaping me. Right, but I mean the defense we saw in that game towards the end, that's not what we saw against Kennesaw State.
Yeah, and I think this was felt a little bit more like the early games that we were talking about, because Kennesaw State made 17 threes. Indiana, I feel like, overhelps a lot.
Yep.
And that leads to a lot of open threes, and I kind of felt like that was going away a little bit, but it might have just been the play style of the teams that Indiana was playing.
Could have been.
But, Kennesaw State hitting 17 threes is not great when you have to play a team like Iowa or something, a team that's going to try and score a lot.
Yep.
Especially like even like Purdue.
Yeah. They can shoot.
They can take a lot.
Yep.
And if they're getting open looks, like that's scary.
Yeah.
But let's stop talking about the things that we didn't like. Let's talk about the things that we did like.
Mackenzie Mbako's offense. The confidence that he has on the offensive side. Saw it 2 weeks ago with North Alabama, hitting a bunch of threes. He kind of picked up where he left off. I think he hit 3. Started the game 3 for 3 or 4 for 4.
4 for 4.
4 for 4 from 3. That's, I think, the kind of the production that we all kind of expected and wanted from him.
Yes.
And I'm really excited, kind of skeptical to see what this looks like when Xavier Johnson comes back, hopefully next week. He's supposed to play, I believe, in the Nebraska game.
That's what
people are saying.
That's what people are definitely saying, yes. The word on the street is that he will be back.
Yeah, and I think I really sidebar. I really hope he puts out the a graphic like the Michael Jordan "I'm back" graphic just for his. He won't, but I would love it. But I think that there's if Mackenzie Mgbako can continue doing that and playing offensively the way he has been the last 2 or 3 games, I think it's huge when Xavier Johnson comes back because Xavier Johnson brings more to the offense than Gabe Cupps does.
Yeah.
And it opens up because Xavier Johnson's going to slash to the bucket.
Yeah.
And that's just going to pull extra defenders, hopefully away from Mac, and to continue shooting that way. But again, that's a future conversation.
Yeah.
Just looking at this game,
I think
was
you
really
definitely
impressed at what he
do.
did.
I mean, Gabe Cupps has been okay in the time that he's started, but that's not the role that he's supposed to be playing. So I think
Especially
he's
this
done.
first year,
I think
yeah.
he's done well with the minutes that he's been given extra. But obviously, a freshman versus a 6th-year senior are offering very different things.
And they're just different styles of point guards.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I think it'll be nice to have him back if they have him back. But the one thing is Mackenzie needs to be taking more shots.
Yeah.
He was 4 for 4 and he finished 4 for 5.
Yeah.
He had like a pump fake at the beginning of the second
I'd like
half.
to see Isaiah Swope number of attempts from him.
I don't need him. Like, I'm fine if he pulls up from NBA range. I don't need him to, but I just need him to, if he gets the ball on the perimeter and he's got any space at all, to let that thing
Pull
fly.
up. Yep.
You've got
I'm okay
a
if
7-footer and a 6'9", 6'10" dude down there. Just let that thing fly.
I'm okay if his 3-point shooting percentage goes down or is not necessarily goes down because it's not.
Well, he
it's
shot
not super
80.
high.
He shot
because
80% in this game.
Yeah, I'm okay if he shoots 40%. I'm okay if he shoots 35%.
He should have taken. He should be taking. If he's shooting, he should be taking 10 shots. I don't care if they're all from 3 because he can score inside. He can drive a little bit, but if he's shooting that well, let him take 10 shots.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
So he's got to. He was hurt maybe.
Yeah, he bonked his knee a little bit. I think
he was out. So
he did have ice on his knee late in the game.
But
I think he only played 14 minutes, maybe.
Yeah,
total.
14 minutes for him. He didn't play a ton because of the injury, I assume. But when the defense wasn't working, let him shoot. To an extent, you can sometimes overcome bad defense with good offense.
Yeah.
Not every time, but in this case, it probably would have done well if he, if he's 4 for 4, let that man keep shooting.
Yep.
We buried the lead. Malik Renew, career high. He had back-to-back career highs.
Yeah.
North Alabama, he had 25. Sets a new career high with 34 points, and he had 11 rebounds. Dude, saw that Ware was out and was like, all right, it's my time.
Yeah. 100%.
Just took over. It felt like his team. I know he's just a sophomore, but it felt like he was taking it like, this is my team.
Yeah.
Kind of thought it would be like Trey Galloway, Xavier Johnson. X has been out. Trey's been struggling a little bit. His production, but Malik Renew, man, he's just been great.
Yeah, and one of the things too about it is he was in the post-game press conference, he mentioned, and this is a quote from him, "Now I'm playing nice and with my pace and being able to score either on the block and finish or step out and create my shot with a 3-ball. My game is slowing down. Now I'm able to create for myself and others." And I think it's huge, not only in his development in the ability to score, but just his mental development. The fact that he's acknowledging that the game is slowing down for him. And I think that's something that we saw last year, especially, is he just plays so frantic almost that he looked not panicked, but the fact that the game is slowing down for him and he's able to kind of play his game.
And I feel like the fact that he's able to stay on the floor this year and not be in foul trouble, he can get into a rhythm, he can get and move at his pace, like you're saying, and play his game. He doesn't have to worry about picking up 2 quick ones most of the time and then being like, oh, okay, now I got to come in and, make up for it, make up for it when I come back in. So really nice, proud of him. Caleb Banks and Walker came in off the bench. Banks had 12 and Walker had 10, and they both played over 20 minutes. They had 22 of their 26 bench points, which, what was it? Kansas, where they had 3 bench points.
I think it was Kansas.
Bench has been very up and down.
Yep.
But I mean, a guy who normally comes off the bench, Peyton Sparks, also had 10.
Yeah.
In 14 minutes as well. So great production all around.
And talking about bench, my bench player of the game, right, did not have a lot of box score production. Anthony Leal. We talked about defense being lackluster. The defensive intensity he brought when he came in, insane. I think they were down potential. I can't remember what the exact score was when he came in, but came in, they instantly went on a 17-3 run.
Yeah.
And that double-digit lead that gave them, to me, is kind of what sealed the game. Mm-hmm. And it's the fact that he's getting more minutes like the past couple games because he's kind of proved himself is things that I look out for.
He's a guy who's so basketball smart.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I feel like the limiting factor is just his athleticism.
Yep.
But you look at what like Miller Kopp did last year, where he was not the best athlete, but he knew how to play so well, and he knew the defensive system, that he knew where to be. He knew that if he got there, he was going to get the stop.
Well, and Leal's a guy that's been there for 4 years now. So like
Leal probably knows the offense.
Actually, he's been anybody. He's been there 5 years, right? Is his fourth? Okay.
So he and Galloway can come back.
That's right. That's right. Because of the.
But again, shooting numbers from 3 are up 7 of 15. And Baco had 4 of them, so you only had three coming from other people. Mm-hmm. One was Renew.
Yep.
But still, shooting 15 threes, that's like more than twice as many as they were taking earlier in the year. So
even 2 weeks ago.
So seriously, let Mbako take 10 of those and then shoot 20 in a game.
Yeah.
Because when X comes back, he needs to be taking some threes.
Yep.
Galloway needs to be taking some. Apparently, Renew needs to be taking 12 a game.
Right.
But so good win for them. They covered the spread. Woohoo!
Not a betting show though.
No. A team that did not cover the spread, I actually don't even know what the line. I think it might have been 8.5. Team that did take a loss this week is Indiana State. I am representing Indiana State. I'm wearing the Sycamores. Got some home field on. Got it for Christmas.
You can never wear that shirt again on a day that they play, right?
I don't believe in that.
I
don't believe in. I'm not superstitious at all.
I'm not super, but I'm very stitious.
I'm not even a little stitious. None of that okay. Affects me.
All right, you're not like Just move on. Ignore. My brain just literally went away.
When you reboot, let me know. Indiana State went 0-1 this week. They lost to Michigan State 87-75. They lost by 12. They're 11-2 overall, and they're 2-0 in conference. And this loss, I don't think, does anything to make you think that they're not going to win the league.
I mean, they went up in KenPom.
Yeah. First of all, fouls are what killed this team.
And turnovers.
Yep.
Turnovers, not as much as fouls, I don't think, but fouls, definitely.
It's just, I mean, how many people had 4 or 5 fouls? It was insane.
So Kent fouled out.
Yep.
Avila and Bledson both had 4.
And Swope had 3, and Conwell had 3.
I didn't even write anything down less than 4. I just listed people who were on the brink.
The thing that stinks about this is, I mean, Avila had 5 points because he was just on the bench, played 18 minutes, and that just hurt them. They played really well without him, and they ended up taking that lead without him.
Yep. But then Bledson got into foul trouble.
Yeah, their whole front court was just...
Well, and it was not, like, it was diminished, not playing any minutes. I mean, this game, I say, is a tale of two halves, which, like, there's a little bit of irony behind it. First half, turnovers. Second half, fouls. Yeah. I mean, Kent and Bledson both had 4 fouls in the second half. Bledson had a total of 4. Kent already had 1 for the first half, but that's just kind of, that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
Against a team like Michigan State.
I mean, you're looking at, they had 15 assists on 25 field goals, which is great.
Yeah.
14 turnovers, though.
Yeah. And I mean, 11 of those 14 in the first half.
Yeah. And
which Michigan State turned into 17 points.
Right. Seriously. I mean, that right there, that's the game.
Yep.
Avila's had a little bit of foul trouble this year. He's still young. He's just a sophomore, but they've got to cut down on the fouling. And I will say, I don't think the officiating was atrocious. Like, this is not a game where I was like, these fouls are horrible.
There were a couple here and there.
Yeah.
But
it
not
was like overwhelmingly like,
Yeah.
I'm fine with these calls.
Yep.
But it just felt like when you have, I'm fine with this call, followed by, that probably shouldn't be a foul. Okay, now you're sitting at 2 fouls. Now you're sitting at 4 fouls.
Yeah.
So it kind of stunk, but I mean, I thought they were going to do it.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, their threes, obviously Indiana State's a very high volume 3-point shooting team. Their threes kept them in the game.
Yeah.
Their threes kept this game closer than it probably would have been otherwise, especially because Michigan State dominated the glass.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that has to do, in my opinion, to Avila and Bledson being in foul trouble.
Yep.
But
I mean, you look at
it was just tough to watch at times.
Yeah. It just stunk because like their foul trouble, you could tell that it was affecting their defense.
Yeah.
Because Michigan State is a smart team. Thomas is a smart coach. You put Avila back in there, what are they going to do? They're going to drive to the hole and try and get him in foul trouble. Like, they're going to get him try and foul out.
Yeah.
So it was just a bad team to be playing with such bad foul trouble. But Swope went 6 of 13 from 3. Onwell went 3 of 6. And Bledson went 3 of 7. Shot, what is that? 14 of 35, 43.9%. Or sorry, 40% from 3. Shot well.
Not bad.
Just didn't have the intensity on defense because of the foul trouble.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I guess, I don't know if they've played for national championship game.
No, that is only
this
this is the second
time?
matchup against Michigan State all time.
Thanks, because I was going to be pushing for, if Indiana State wins this, they're now 1-1. So in order to figure out better, I think Bird and Magic should play 1-on-1 now.
Ooh, it's funny you bring up Bird and Magic because they talked about it on the broadcast. Michigan State obviously has a Magic Johnson statue.
Yeah.
Indiana State has a Larry Bird statue. Or did I say Michigan State? Indiana State has a Larry Bird statue.
Imagine Michigan State did have a Larry Bird statue, but he was getting like dunked on or something.
Yeah. Well, the Michigan State statue was erected before Indiana State's.
Okay.
Magic Johnson sits at a cool 12 feet. Well, down in Terre Haute, the Larry Bird statue is a cool 15 feet.
That's awesome. I was hoping you were going to say 12-1. It's just 12'1".
That'd be hilarious. Nope. But I do, before we move on, I got a free throw for you.
Okay.
There are 2 Indiana State players that played together in high school.
On this roster?
On this current roster. We have talked about both of them today.
Okay.
Have any guesses on who they are?
Jason Kent and Xavier Bledson.
So close. Jason Kent, Robbie Avila.
I feel like I knew that.
I did not know that until before watching the broadcast today.
Both from Illinois, I think.
I couldn't tell you where they're from. I just know that they played high school together.
They got some nice statues down in Terre Haute. Do they have a wooden statue?
I don't think so.
Did we have a wooden statue here? Does Purdue has a wooden statue?
Yeah, Purdue
right?
has one. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Does UCLA have one?
Oh, I feel like I should know this because there's a statue outside their basketball arena. I don't remember if it's wooden or not. I've been there. I stared at it. They might.
I mean, I feel like anyone who has any ties to John Wooden should have a wooden statue, just because why not? You hear, this is just a quick sidebar, but I think it was Mark Titus once said that he thinks that the only reason that the Big Ten got UCLA is because they just want to have control over all the wooden statues. They just want to have all the wooden statues in the Big Ten. So if Indiana State has one, they got to
move
up.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that definitively means that UCLA does have a wooden statue.
It would be silly if they didn't have a wooden statue. That'd be so dumb.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Tough loss though.
Yep.
East Lansing is a hard place to play in.
No matter who you are.
Yeah, unless you
are Michigan State.
Yeah, unless you're Indiana in the middle of a 12 game losing streak or whatever, and you're playing, say, under Archie Miller or something, then you're probably just going to go in and have Justin Smith like pop off and win easily. But unless you're that specific team in that specific year, you're going to have a tough time.
Yeah, no doubt.
IUPUI, Jaron.
They moved up in Ken Palm. One spot.
Thank God.
With a win over Detroit Mercy. 67-55. That brings them to a 5-9 overall record with a 1-2 conference record as of the time of recording.
Yeah.
Like we mentioned, they do play on New Year's Eve against Cleveland State. Gotta be a tough game. Probably not going to talk too much about it unless something crazy happens.
Yeah, like if they pull off the upset and just beat them by 30 or something.
Yeah. But they won their first conference win. So actually a full month sooner than they got their first conference win last season.
Yes.
So they're off to a much better start.
In conference.
In conference. And actually, speaking of conference play, it was really interesting. And I don't know why it's listed this way, but on KenPom, at the very bottom of like the schedule,
yeah,
right, it says their projected overall record,
their
projected conference record.
Yeah.
They're projected to go 4-9 in the conference.
They only play 13 conference games?
They're projected to win 4 conference games.
Okay.
I think it said 9. I don't remember because again, now that you said that, it does not make sense. But looking at the line by line,
4-16.
4-16. I'm just an idiot.
Yeah.
All I wrote down was 4 because that's all I cared about. But in the line by line breakdown of each game, they have each game on the schedule, the date, the projected spread, the projected points scored.
Yeah.
All of those are
L's.
Currently L's.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy that they're just going to steal now 3 more conference wins somewhere.
I mean, they're underdogs in every single game, but I think that's just a matter of how statistics works. You know, you were a math major for a couple of days.
2 weeks.
There we go. So this is your wheelhouse.
I didn't take a single math class. Sorry. No, I was in a trigonometry class, which does not translate to this at all.
Maybe. You know, if you look at the arc of
the arc of the ball shot.
Yeah. So, I mean, yes, but you figure they're going to get some just because they won't lose all of these, probably. It's unlikely. Yeah. It's the antithesis of Purdue's KenPom page.
True.
Because Purdue has all W's, but then is like 16-4 in conference, you know?
Yeah. No, and I get that. I was scrolling through and I was like
to see.
Yeah. Like, I think they have a 32. Their highest percent chance to win is 32 for any of their games.
35% home against Robert Morris. Well, I'd say that the projected record is probably based on the cumulative probabilities of winning each game and may not equal the sum of individual game predictions. That's just a guess, though. I've not read that anywhere.
Anyways, one thing to note about the Detroit Mercy game, Detroit was playing without their top scorer, but
it's not Antoine Davis.
It's not Antoine Davis. And
IUPUI was without their leading scorer.
Yes.
And their leading assist man. It's the same guy. So Jalen Counter was out in this game. He was ill, so not an injury. So that's good.
Yeah.
It's always good to see someone, not sick.
Hurt.
Yeah.
It's not good to see someone
sick. It's good to see you sick. Jalen Counter, you were sick. Good job.
No, it's good to see they're out for sickness rather than injury. Yeah, right. I knew what you meant, but I wanted to make sure that the listeners,
you didn't want us to get clipped.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always good to see someone sick on the roster. He said, only talking about when his team plays another team. Yeah, it's always great when their leading scorer's out. But they played better team basketball.
Which, now that you've said those exact words, I want to read you a quote from Vincent Brady in the postgame.
Okay.
It feels good. I'm just happy we got the win. We played together today. I feel like that's the biggest reason why the scoreboard was the way it was. I feel like when we play together, no one can really stop us, and we've got to keep doing that.
You think?
Was that a shot at Jalen Counter?
I don't think so. I almost feel like since he wasn't in the game, it was more of a it was not like we're free to do what we want now that we don't have to like defer to him, but it was almost like a, I don't know, we just got to score. Let's just figure this out. You know?
Yeah.
We
Oh,
can
yeah,
score.
yeah.
I will just be interested to see because they average like, I had it here. They average 9.7 assists per game. They had 8 in this game.
Okay.
Jalen Counter is the leading assist, leads the team in assists.
Right.
They didn't have him. Their assists were down by, less than 2. But I think that maybe they just, I don't know. I don't know what happened here. They played without him and they ended up winning. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Or do we look and see if Counter comes back and they get smoked? Does that mean anything?
The sample size is too small.
Okay, now you're talking about statistics. No, I like where this is going. But I don't want to read too much into it. I don't want to defend. I don't ever want to say that a team is like better without someone. That's just silly.
Yep.
But I mean, it is interesting to see that they did play better. Now, Detroit Mercy, mind you, does not have a single win.
Yeah.
So
they're bad.
Maybe that's what it was. But this is also the same Detroit Mercy team that Ball State struggled with at Detroit Mercy.
Yep.
Was Ball State away from home, but
yeah.
I don't know. Good for them though. Who was their leading scorer in this one? Was it Brady Vincent?
Vincent Brady.
17 points, 6 boards. Fouled out though. Fouls. But they got the win, and they won by 22, 12. Math is hard. I wasn't the math major.
I wasn't either. After
you were
2 weeks.
So you were. That's what I'm hearing.
This doesn't count because I couldn't actually. I was a teaching major.
5 for 19. 5 for 19 from 3 though. Anything else you want to say?
I want to talk about Notre Dame.
Okay. Before we do though, Jaguar guy on Twitter was talking about, he thinks that the issue is just the poor perimeter shooting, is that, Counter and other people are setting people up, but they just can't knock down shots. I think that's definitely part of it.
It's a great analysis to someone who is much more in tune specifically to
the team.
Yeah.
We just, we're kind of like the jack of all trades here, but
Masters
that's why we need our Jaguar guy,
Yeah.
Everyone needs their Jaguar guy.
Everyone needs a Jaguar guy.
All right, let's talk about Notre Dame.
Notre Dame, they moved big jump in KenPom. They're sitting at 172, up from 226, largely due to their 22-point win over Virginia today. Today? That was today.
That was today. That was Saturday.
It was Saturday. We're recording on Saturday today.
Episode's out on Monday. Who knows what day it is anymore? You're listening to this on Thursday.
Who knows? Yeah, exactly. Anyways, that brings Notre Dame to 6-7 overall, a 1-1 conference record. So big conference dub for the Fighting Irish, largely due to J.R. Konieczny, who had 3 consecutive threes just in the opening couple minutes. Hit a buzzer beater, a shot clock beater. When you say buzzer beater, it makes me think like
buzzer beater
game clock.
Has to be like an end of the game, right?
Yeah. But he hit a shot clock beating 3. It was actually a pretty sick play. He caught the pass and shot it all while midair. So he's just jumping, catching.
Indiana ball, dude.
That's Indiana. That's Notre Dame ball.
Well, this probably happened because it was 574 day at the arena. Region day. So he's from the region.
Yep.
So is Carrie Booth as well. Both from the region. Nesney's from South Bend, so maybe they were just like, make it be region day every day, basically.
Yeah. I mean, his 3 threes in those opening minutes, that gave Notre Dame a 13-0 lead.
Yeah, it was one where I kind of forgot that it was like noon. Noon just snuck up on me.
Yeah.
And I saw 13-0. Not gonna lie, I assumed they were down 13-0 because of how Notre Dame has been this year. And then I was like, hold on a second. And I flipped it back and I was like, okay, we in this.
Yeah, I mean, their defense was insane. In those opening minutes, that 13-0 lead, largely due to Virginia going 0 for 7 from the field. Then, shortly after the under 12, they held Virginia to scoreless for 4 minutes.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, they had a lot of guys scoring. They had, I think, 2 people with 17, 1 person with 15. I think Burton had 15, and then I think Booth and Knesny had 17 each.
Yep. Great team effort.
So great team effort offensively, but the defense, and Virginia's kind of on the down slope.
Yeah.
Of their success, but they are still a really well coached team.
For sure. But I mean, it's tough. Virginia can't shoot themselves back into games.
Right.
So
right.
When you have a team like Micah Shrewsbury's Notre Dame Fighting Irish, if they're shooting well, Virginia will not be able to come back. They're not going to be able to shoot themselves back into this because they're still going to keep hitting shots. And that's exactly what happened. This was Virginia's biggest loss in ACC play since 2017.
Yeah, I mean, it was the most, so it was 41-24 at half. That's the most points that Virginia has given up in a single half this season. Mind you, I said Notre Dame was going into this game 226 in KenPom.
Mm-hmm.
Virginia has played, I think, 5 or 6 top 100 teams. And none of those teams put up 41. Put up 41 or more.
It's because no one wanted to sit on the bench and rot. They wanted to play hard for Micah Shrewsbury, man. They came alive.
That motivation.
Talk worked.
That motivation.
Really proud of them. It's a tough first year, but if he can light a fire under them, people are going to hate to have to go to South Bend.
Oh, yeah.
Play.
Yeah, and I mean, even in this Notre Dame team, there was no, like I said, team effort on the offensive side, great defensive play. They just didn't have quit in them. There were several occasions where Virginia cut the deficit to around 10, and sometimes that can be a gut punch when you've got a big lead.
You lose all momentum.
You're within a handful of possessions, and each time Notre Dame countered right back and extended their lead again. It was one of those things oh no, you're not. Stop the clock here. We're gonna get our lead back.
Region's different, man. I got a free throw for you before we move on.
Okay.
So they won by 22.
Yep.
Notre Dame was the underdog in this game.
Correct.
By what? They were what point dogs? Virginia was favored by how many points?
13. Interesting.
So that's what? 31.5 points swing from what was projected. Pretty crazy.
Carry the 4. Yeah.
Crazy. Purdue Fort Wayne. This is a game we attended.
We did.
So we were there. The two of us were there to watch them beat Northern Kentucky 73-60, which brings them, they were 1-0 this week. They still have a game tomorrow.
Sunday, New Year's
Yesterday, whatever day. They have a game on the 31st on New Year's Eve at Detroit Mercy. No, they're home against Detroit Mercy.
They're home, yes.
So they're 12-2 overall, and they're 3-0 in conference, which is great. Great start for them. The women, I think, are also 3-0, just as a side note. But we were there in person checking it out. It was in the Gates Center, which I prefer for games like this, where it needs to be a little bit louder. and it was rocking.
Loud. I've never been to an arena with a sound system that good.
An arena that size with that nice of a sound system. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, whatever. Twist my words. I said what I said.
You heard it here live. But we were there with our friend Cody. He does he's got a mostly football show, but got a show, a podcast, a YouTube. He's on TikTok everywhere. He's Smash Hits Sports. Check him out if you like football content. He's doing a bunch of content for all the bowl games and everything. Great guy, great content. So good friend of ours. Just check him out if you like football stuff. But he was there with us, so we convinced him to come to a basketball game, and he loved it. He was having a great time.
Oh, he had a blast.
So it's always nice when you get a football guy to enjoy basketball so much.
Oh yeah.
Northern Kentucky averages 72 points a game. And Purdue Fort Wayne held them to 60. Yeah. So great defensive effort. Especially because they held the game was 27-26 at half. PFW by 1.
Yeah, let me just say, going into this game, I hope no one took the over.
Oh my god. It 147.
It came close in the end. It came within the possibility. Like it was within the realm of possibility at the end.
Yeah.
But to start the game, the scoring was so slow. It was atrociously slow.
Yeah.
I mean, like you just said, it was 27-26 at half.
And PFW was down double digits or close to double digits in the beginning. In like the first 5 minutes.
Yep.
They hit 1-3 and then kind of just went cold for a while. So huge effort by the team to come back and, command the lead at half.
Oh yeah.
Surge back and then just control the second half all the way through. Jalen Jackson had 17. Quentin Morton Robertson was 5 of 10 from 3, and every starter but Mulder was in double digits.
Tell you what though, Mulder works harder than any player I've ever seen on a basketball court.
He makes me feel so old.
The way he throws his body around, like when he goes up, he has every intent in getting that ball.
Yep.
And he does not care if he comes down horizontal, vertical, on one foot, on his tiptoes, on his hands, feet in the air.
That is straight effort. I mean, you can just tell that his intention is to get the rebound, block the shot, whatever it is. He's only thinking about get that ball. I love how hard he works, and you can tell why they've got him starting at the center. He's, got some pretty good speed for how big he is.
He's always at least one of the first three on either side down the court.
He just plays so
even
hard.
when he falls to the ground. I mean, at one point we thought he might have had 10 or 12 boards. He had 4.
Yeah.
Finished the game with 7.
Yep.
It felt like he had 20 rebounds. Just the effort, because of the effort that he puts in. He touched every ball.
Basically.
He got his hands on it. He either didn't come down with it or knocked it to someone else.
Mm-hmm. Stop someone else from getting it, something.
Yeah, but Rasheed Bello. Triple-double watch.
Yes.
A very interesting triple-double watch.
This is crazy, yeah.
He had 13 points, 8 assists. Okay, the average listener, the average person would expect boards to be next. No, 7 steals, which is a career high for him.
7 of their 17 of Northern Kentucky's 17 turnovers.
Yeah.
With 7 steals from Bello.
Yep. So it was a career high for him. It actually tied PFW's single game in the Division I era program record. It has been done 3 other times. So here's my free throw for you. Can you name one of the players that had 7 steals in a game?
I feel like I saw this somewhere, and I'm just completely blanking on who it was. I'm going to say Scott. No?
We've talked about him on several occasions. Conchar.
Okay, that makes sense.
Did it twice.
Okay.
So Conchar did it in 2018. He did it in 2016. And then Bo Bauer.
Sick name.
Yeah. 2004.
All right.
So it's a historic effort from Bello.
Good for him. Last thing I want to say is Bello, next game, should hit 1,000.
Yep, he is 5 points away.
Good for him. Good for him. I like how he plays. I think he's a great addition to this team.
Oh yeah. Dude also works hard.
Yep. I mean, Kaufman just has a team that works so hard. I mean, that's just built into them. You can see it, top to bottom on the roster. But Purdue stayed at number 2, unsurprisingly. In KenPom, they went 1-0 this week, 12-1 overall, and 1-1 in the Big Ten. So they won over Eastern Kentucky, and this is a game where not a lot of people stood out because everyone just kind of helped them push it to an easy win.
Yeah. I mean, Edie and Lawyer combined for 27.
Yeah.
When usually one of them is scoring 27 by themselves. Dang near.
They have some up and down games where obviously Lawyer scores 27, 28 points, whatever it was.
Yep.
Or Braden Smith will do that. But they'll also have games where it's like 4 points.
Yeah.
But, pretty even scoring from everyone. But my question
that's 7 players between 7 and 14 points. So
my question for you is Edie is now 0 for 1 from 3. So is his legacy tarnished? He's shooting 0% from 3. Is he out of the running for National Player of the Year? I mean, can you really have a guy win National Player of the Year who's 0% from 3? I mean, even do not attempt is better.
Yeah.
People are thinking about it, and by people I mean no one, because I'm joking. Obviously, I love that he took the 3. His foot was on the line the last time he took one. I love that he went on Twitter when they said that his foot was on the line, so it was a 2, and he was like, "Still never missed a 3 in my career." And then after this game, he just quote tweeted and was like, "Never mind."
Yeah.
I respect that. That's funny.
That was fun.
He and Lance Jones were there for an hour and a half, almost 2 hours after the game, signing autographs for kids.
Good for them.
You love that, man. I mean,
especially from Jones.
Yep. Does anyone love being at Purdue more than Lance Jones?
Jury's out. I don't think so.
I love how
Other
much
than Matt Boehner.
Yeah, seriously. I just love how much they love being on the team, and that's just got to mean so much for those little kids.
Yo, yeah.
Just being there and being able to see literally the best player in college, just wanting to spend.
Yeah. I mean, those kids' lives are just, they'll never be better.
They'll remember that forever.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Till they get old and sell the autograph on eBay.
Yeah.
That's why he signed so many. Deflates the market. Genius.
Next level thinking from the boy. Man. Not very old. Dude, man.
Pretty tall. But I want to talk about, they were 28% from 3, so kind of okay. I mean, it's a nitpicky thing to talk about their 3-point shooting in this game because they didn't need it.
Right.
By 27. But Smith had 8 assists, but he had 3 turnovers. And Painter was basically saying afterwards that his goal is for have 0 turnovers.
Right.
He's talking
naturally.
People like Halliburton can play 35 minutes and have 0 turnovers. It's it's possible.
Yeah.
And that's what he wants Braden Smith to be. I don't think that's an unreasonable thing to do. But can he achieve it? Probably. I mean, if he's playing, I think if
anyone in college basketball can do it, it's him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility.
Good for them. 35 straight non-conference regular season wins.
Impressive.
What?
It's over the course of 3 seasons.
And some?
I think it dates back. I think it dates back to 2019.
They played 20, so they play 31 games. So that's 33 games plus 2 from the year before.
Yeah.
They play 11 non-conference games.
Yeah. So that would date back to 2019.
Mm-hmm. Gillis is 1 board away from his first double-double.
Speaking of Gillis, that shocks me.
Yeah, honestly, it feels like he has had multiple.
Yeah. Another thing that is interesting, Purdue's 28-3 when Gillis, in Gillis's career, when he makes 2 or more 3-pointers in a game.
Good for him.
Little nugget. He's an X factor for them.
2 things I want to go just say real quick before we move on from Purdue, because we got some other teams to get on and we're getting a little bit long. Is Edey reached 300 points, 30 blocks, and 12 wins in the first 13 games of the season, becoming the first player, college or NBA, since the Lakers' Shaquille O'Neal did this in 2001-2002. If you're being mentioned in the same sentence as Shaq, doing all right.
Do pretty good. Pretty good.
Then the last thing is Purdue was number 1 on January 1, 2023. They're going to be number 1 on December 31st, 23. And they didn't lose this game, so they're going to be number 1 on January 1, 2024. Good for them.
Good for them. A whole year at number 1.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Something.
I mean, that's what you just told me.
Uh-huh.
You started the year and ended the year at number 1. They spent the whole year at number 1.
Last day, my first day, last day.
Basically. Exactly.
Let's talk to Southern Indiana. They stayed.
Talk to them?
Yeah. They're on the phone. Let's talk about Southern Indiana. So the Screaming Eagles are 339 in KenPom still. And as of recording, they're 0-1, 3-11 overall, and 0-1 in conference. Lost in a heartbreaking one. SEMO.
Heartbreaking overtime loss.
Yeah, 93-91. And it was just, I feel so bad for this. Not strictly because they have not yet won a Division I game, but because the games that they have lost, so close.
Oh yeah. No, I'm with you. It's been heartbreaking for sure. I mean, I even wrote that down. It was an absolute heartbreaker. It's you hate to see it really from any team, especially one of our 11, our babies.
I know they lost by 1 to LaSalle, 79-78, and they lost by 2 to Bowling Green, 54-52. And then they lose this game in overtime, 93-91. And the whole time, like, you have AJ Smith playing really well. You have Jeremiah Hernandez playing awesome, had 35 points, and made his first 16 free throws.
Of the 17, yeah. Of the 17
missed his 17th, and that's it.
Yeah, it
was crazy.
And naturally, that 17th that he missed tied the game. If I'm not mistaken,
it would have been close. Like it was.
I think it would have put them within a 2. I think it would have put the game at 2 points.
Yeah, I mean,
it would have been down 2 versus down 3.
If he makes that, then they're up 1 when SEMO's shooting their last second shot instead of tied.
Yeah,
which is maybe a little bit different, but they just kind of fell behind in overtime by like 5 and kind of hovered around there the whole time. But Jack Campion had an insane 3. It looked like he just kind of threw it up. Didn't look like it was a good shot at all, but he just only his second shot of the game, and he just rained this thing.
Homie yelled Kobe.
So that was like at the buzzer, sent it over into overtime, and just SEMO hit a game winner with 1.1 left.
Yeah, and I mean the story of this game to me was the turnover battle. I think that's a big reason. That's an easy thing to like point wins and losses against, right? But Southern Indiana, they had 16 points off of 14 SEMO turnovers. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Like just over half.
SEMO had 27 points off of 19 Southern Indiana turnovers. Yeah. So giving up, turning the ball over 5 more times, that's negligible. Giving up 11 more points, I think that's a big deal. I think USI not being able to capitalize more on those 14 forced turnovers that they had against SEMO, I think that we probably would be having a different conversation.
For sure. I mean, they steal one on the road. That would have been nice.
Yeah.
Valparaiso, our last team, it's 319th. They moved up 1 with a loss, though. They lost another kind of heartbreaking loss, 82-78, lost to Elon. not the owner of X.com. They went 0-1 this week in that one game they played. They're 4-9 overall, and they're 0-2 in the Missouri Valley. It's a tough conference to play in. I hate to say it, but I mean, it's going to be tough to win some more. You have to try and steal some at home.
Yeah, and I mean, I said it earlier with Indiana State, a tale of two halves. This was a true tale of two halves.
100%.
Valpo had 29 first half points compared to Elon's 42.
Yeah. Well, they scored, 29 in the first half, so they scored 49 in the second half.
49 second half points compared to Elon's 40. So Elon, pretty consistent. Valpo did what they needed to do defensively. Offense, it just took 20 minutes to warm up.
And they got to play that way for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
They were even playing without Isaiah Stafford, their leading scorer.
Yep.
He's day-to-day with a knee injury, so Ian Hummerkaus. Oh, we don't know if it's Hummerkaus, but, having some day-to-day injuries here.
Well, Xavier Johnson also has had a day-to-day injury.
Day to week.
Hey, man, I just listened to what the injury report says.
It's true.
But
questionable.
Exactly. Pretty cool little thing. They had 2 freshmen score 20 points.
First time this season? And they started 3 freshmen for the first time since 2014. So
pretty. I think we've said it before, but the future is really bright for this Valpo team.
For sure.
And we saw it today, or we saw it this week. With Jahari Williamson at 24, Cooper Swiger 21. Those were 2 of the 3 freshmen that started.
Yeah. And this is still year 1 for Ragland.
Yeah.
I mean,
not Ragland.
Roger Powell.
I was like, Ragland's at Evansville, also in year 1.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, yeah, still year 1, which is exciting. I mean, we talked about it before. Roger Powell's a guy who has seen a lot of success throughout his
coach for a lot of good teams.
Career. So no, it's really exciting to see what the potential that they have a couple years from now.
But it's just like Indiana State turnovers in the first half.
Yep.
Couldn't play well enough in the second half to outdo what happened in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, also their bench didn't exist.
Yep.
Elon had 32 bench points. Valpo had 2.
Yeah.
So, a 4-point loss, you've got outscored. Your bench got outscored by 30.
Yeah.
You just need one guy.
Yeah, but you figure Stafford plays, then those points are coming off the bench. So
yeah, that
should be different.
But really cool thing. So of the teams, they had 78 points, right? 51 of those 78 were scored by true freshmen.
Oh.
That's 65% of their scoring, true freshmen. Of the 78, 68 were scored by freshmen and sophomores. 87% of their scoring.
Or
young core, like we said, that's exciting stuff for the future of Valpo.
Sure.
It also is exciting.
Yes.
Jimmy Chitwood.
Timothy
Chitwood.
People are saying.
Some would say.
Let's talk about Jimmy Chitwood. Jimmy Chitwood. So this is a first on our show. First time this has ever happened. Jimmy Chitwood this week is not only our first ever repeat, it's also our first back-to-back winner. Our Jimmy Chitwood winner this week, week 8.
Yes.
Is Malik Renew from Indiana University. Career high, coming off of a career high with another career high, 34 points, 13 of 9 shooting, and 1 for 3 from 3. So this is the highest number of points since Trace Jackson Davis broke the Simon Scott Assembly Hall scoring record with 43 against Marshall. I was there at that game, by the way. So I saw that happen. Unfortunately, Malik, I was not there to see this. He had 11 boards, 4 assists, 1 block, 2 steals. Saw Ware was out and just said, it's my time. Good for him, man. Just taking over, making this his team. We'd love to see it. So we had to make you Jimmy Chitwood in this big win. Scored 100 points. You got 34 of them. Got Malik.
Now you need to go to a game at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. That way, Malik can break the 43.
I have been to a couple of losses. Like I said, I'm not superstitious or anything.
You're sounding a little stitious, though.
Yeah, but I did go to the game where they like lost in overtime to Ohio State when Ohio State was really good, and it was like Archie's first or second year. But I was there when Juwan Morgan got a triple-double. I was there when Trace broke the scoring record. So I've seen some pretty decent games. Now, I do only go to like mostly non-conference games because I ain't made of money. But let's talk about next week, Jaron.
Yes.
Conference play.
An incredible slate of games, both with our 11 teams, but also just across the country.
We're getting into like, just some great
The basketball god said 2024, we're going to start it with a bang.
Seriously. I mean,
Huge
football's like ending, like as we speak, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
And
it'll be
like,
almost over. There will be 2 teams left to play by the time this episode.
Yeah.
By the time you're probably listening to this episode.
Yep. And they will be.
Who's to say? It'll be Washington.
Hopefully. We're rooting for Washington to win it all. We want Michael Penix to.
Washington?
Oh, yeah. We're from Indiana.
Yeah. And I don't remember the other game. What is it? It's Washington.
Well, there's Alabama and Michigan. And then
Alabama,
Washington and horrible content.
Texas?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're going to go Washington and Bama, probably. Seems
Bama's
the most
pump
likely.
The brakes off Michigan.
Okay. So Washington over Bama national championship. Look at Michael Penix goes for 600 yards. All right. You heard it here. So when that happens, come find the receipts. So we've got some good games. We have one in-state matchup this week.
Yes.
It's Evansville against Evansville going to Indiana State. If Hummerkaus isn't back, I'm going to be scared for Evansville.
I mean, Evansville's already 13-point dogs.
Yeah.
With the assumption that Hummerkaus is going to be there. With the assumption that Hummerkaus is there, they're 13-point dogs.
And Indiana, I mean, both teams are coming off losses, but Indiana State's coming off of a game that they definitely felt like they could win. And people like Avila are going to be hungry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So they're like, listen, we're not losing our stranglehold on Missouri Valley. We're going to come back and win.
Yeah.
I expect Indiana State to take that game and probably cover, especially because it's at home.
But we're not a betting show, so like it doesn't matter.
We're not a betting show until unnamed betting app. Then talk.
We're always open to talk.
Yeah. Our DMs are open.
Our
DMs are now open, everybody. The state of basketball's DMs are open. I'm also looking forward to Butler UConn. It's a home game for Butler. Hinkle Magic.
They're surprisingly 5-point dogs. Not
Hinkle
surprising
Magic.
that it's because they're at home. I'm just surprised in general because on paper you'd think that UConn would be that much better.
Yeah.
But this Butler team has been playing so well. They're in Hinkle.
And UConn has some head scratchers in the Big East.
That's true.
They did it last year. They lost like 5 games. They won a losing streak. The Big East, I don't know. They're just better in non-conference play, I guess. But so Hinkle, don't count out that Hinkle Magic. I think they got a good chance. Upset the reigning national champs.
Yeah. And I mean, Purdue has 2 huge matchups this week, right? So they're favored in both games, but they're going to Maryland. Always a tough place to play.
Undefeated
Maryland,
last year, right?
Yeah, they didn't lose a game at home last year. Maryland didn't. So tough place to play. They're playing pretty good basketball.
Yeah, they started pretty terrible.
Yeah.
And then they kind of turned it around.
And I mean, Purdue hasn't won a game on the road in conference play this year.
If you're Maryland, this is a game that you
right. They played Iowa
at home.
Home. Okay,
they did the 1-1.
Yep.
If you're Maryland, like you need to get up for this game. You got to
100%.
defend home court. You got an opportunity to get a win against the number one team. So you need to get up. If you're Purdue, who we're rooting for, obviously, Indiana show here, you need to play even. Like, just play calm, play your game, don't panic, let your guards cook, let Edie cook. If they start pressing, pass it to Lance Jones, let him run it up.
Yeah.
Play your game.
Yep.
Just Maryland does not shoot the three. Didn't like that game was like the team of like the battle of the broke.
Yeah.
So they're not gonna outshoot you from three. So go out and beat them.
Yeah.
Go get one on the road.
Yeah, for sure. And then a couple days after they go to Maryland, they go back to Mackey to play Illinois.
Yeah.
Which
looked a lot scarier.
A week ago.
Yeah, a week ago. We're not going to get into it, but if you know, they're playing without Terrence Shannon.
Yep.
So that's not what our show's getting into.
No, but it will be interesting to see. The line is currently sitting at
8.
-8. Purdue's favored by 8. Probably is gonna change a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if the algorithm accounts for that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Betting lines, I mean, Purdue will be the favorite and they should win.
Yep.
That's that your guard should feel a lot more comfortable in that game. Duke goes into Notre Dame, and Notre Dame build off of
their slaughter of Virginia.
Yeah, they actually got 2 home games this week. One against NC State too. So that'll be nice.
Yeah,
if they can keep that going, but it'll be tough. I mean, Duke's a tough team. Probably a pretty tough matchup. Got Filipowski down low. Stop him.
Yeah, that's a big question mark for me is who's going to stop Filipowski.
Try and win one of those 2 games.
Yeah, and I mean, another big one, Southern Indiana are favored against Tennessee Tech.
That's what I'm talking about.
They're 2-point favorites at home. That's exciting. They're still hunting their first Division I win. So they're favored.
They've got a pretty good chance this week.
Yeah,
they're
they can
3-point dogs against Tennessee State, and they're 2-point favorites against Northern Iowa. They can pull it off. The last game that I want to talk about is just Indiana going to Nebraska. I think Nebraska's playing really well right now, and they've got to be able to guard the 3 ball a little better if they want to win that game. So tough road environment. Got to go into Pinnacle Bank. Indiana, you have Xavier Johnson back. Hopefully he's back, and you can.
That's what the people are saying.
Yeah, hopefully you can have him contribute and get everyone in.
Real quick, Posh Alexander going back to St. John's. Butler playing at St. John's, playing in Brooklyn.
It's not. Is it not an MSG?
I honestly don't know.
Oh.
I'm just.
I
pretty sure Posh is from Brooklyn.
Yeah,
so I'm just going back home.
The Posh Alexander revenge game.
Yep.
Because he basically, I mean, Patino cleared house. He basically said like, I don't really want any of you guys.
Yeah.
So that'll be nice. That's basically all that's going on next week in the state of Indiana. So let's check in on the other 49 states just real quick. What happened last week, Jaron?
Yeah, so Texas stomped UNC Greensboro. It was just an absolute whomping. Illinois stomped Fairleigh Dickinson. Surprise there. We did call the upset of San Diego State over Gonzaga. They won by 10. So shout out to us. Creighton lost to Marquette by 5. So about to be expected. And this is one you're excited to talk about.
Oh, yeah, dude. Will Wade, the American gangster, McNeese State, goes in and beats, at the time, a 6-6 Michigan team. Now they're 6-7. McNeese State is, 10-3 now?
Something like that.
11-2 or something. But Will Wade has coached
3 games?
3 games. Because he was suspended for 10. And good for him, man. I mean,
hasn't lost one, right?
I don't think so. So good for them going in, beating Michigan. Makes the Indiana win look a little bit less nice, but I mean, it's Will Wade. So
true.
How are you going to win against the American gangster?
Exactly.
Let's talk about next week. So obviously we talked about Purdue going into Maryland. Tennessee takes on Norfolk State, and number 9 UNC travels to Pitt. We saw Pitt give a tough effort and beat the Dons earlier this year.
Yep.
So Pitt's not something to ignore.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Illinois playing Purdue next week. Illinois got a tough week next week. They play in Mackey, and they also play, I believe, a home game against Northwestern. So again, they're playing without Terrence Shannon. Northwestern obviously has beat Purdue already.
Yep.
They're sitting at 10-2 currently. They have a bad loss against Chicago State, but they have a top 2 guard in the Big Ten, and he's not
talking
number 2.
Yeah, talking about first team All Big Ten guy in Boo Booey.
Yeah, so that'll be.
They got to figure out how they're going to play. Illinois has got to figure out how the team's going to adjust real quick.
Yep.
Wisconsin plays Iowa. Baylor plays Cornell. James Madison still unbeaten.
Yeah,
still undefeated.
We got 2 games next week. One against Louisiana. Lafayette. So
and another undefeated team, Ole Miss, plays Tennessee. So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
It's
like we said, the basketball gods said, let's make the first week of 2024 a banger, and they did. So it's exciting stuff.
We've got potentially the game that might decide the Pac-12, the Pac-12 title in Colorado. So
yeah.
I thought it was going to Arizona. Good.
Yeah.
Texas at Texas Tech rivalry. Pretty wild.
Like I said, basketball gods, man.
Anything else you want to look at for next week?
Nothing else for next week. No, there's just too many games that I could sit here for an hour. And just rattle off games for next week.
It's one where you just just throw a game on.
At any given time, there's going to be a banger game on. Tune in.
The last thing is, I don't remember if we talked about this on air or off air, but talking about that Florida State football did, based on their resume, deserve to be in the 4th spot for the college football playoffs, in my opinion. They deserved it based on their resume. I think that I understood the decision to put Alabama in, obviously. I think it made complete sense.
Yeah.
Based on the game where they lost, 63-3?
Yeah.
The committee, the committee is sitting so smug right now.
They're like, you can't see my face if you're listening, but they're smug.
They're so happy. Florida State cracks me up because they were threatening, looking at leaving the ACC.
Oh, they filed a lawsuit against the ACC.
Do they realize this will never, ever, ever happen again? Because this is the last time there's going to be a 4-team playoff. This will never happen again.
Well,
whatever.
Unless they're fighting for the 12 seed and they're end up being the 13 seed.
Whatever. Yeah, but they'll never be a 12 and a 13-0 team that gets left out in a power conference because they will get an automatic spot.
Unless everyone goes.
Okay. But everyone gets a trophy. That's really all I've got to say. Last shout out that I have is to Coach Tonsoni from a call. Shouted us out on Twitter. So if you're here because of Coach Tonsoni, thank you, Coach Tonsoni. Welcome, everybody. Just like to kind of reach those people who are like us and just like basketball, like the state of Indiana. Maybe you like a mid-major team in the state. Maybe you're a Valpo guy, but you're also a Purdue guy.
Or girl. Or whatever you identify as.
We're trying to, feel like there's a niche market here.
Yeah.
And to appeal to those people. So thank you for coming. Tell your friends about us. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode. Yeah.
And with that, the clocks are showing quadruple 0. So it's time for us to get out of here. Thanks for checking in to the State of Basketball podcast. See you next week. And remember, also see you next year. Remember, in 49 states,
it's just basketball.